r/Nosleep. Posted by you/likeeyedid. My girlfriend started drawing as a form of trauma therapy. Part 2. There is an intruder in my home. She looks exactly like the woman who lived here. The one that I love deeply and never wanted to lose. She looks exactly like her, but she's not. No, this one seems hollow on the inside, which sounds ironic because I believe there are actually two different people in her body. The new Evelyn, the one that laid in the Play-Doh green grass, blissfully watching a sky with no clouds and no sun. The one that goes through a specific number of steps whenever she wants to do something. The one that scares the shit out of me with her paintings of a version of me that can't speak or scream. And then there is the Evelyn that I love and that loves me. The one who wants to protect me and help me. Unfortunately, the odd one seems to be in charge. Evelyn was dissociating from herself, which isn't something entirely surprising after a traumatic experience. Her childhood wasn't exactly happy and colorful either, to be honest. Her parents plain out sucked. They hardly gave a shit when she went missing either. With my family living in a different country, we were pretty much each other's family. And I care. Yes, that explanation seemed perfectly logical. Maybe her therapist couldn't help her enough, maybe she needed to spend some time in a mental institution. Yes, perfectly logical conclusions to the note she gave me. Except, I wasn't thinking logically. I knew deep inside that something had happened to her the days that she was gone. I was certain that she went to that place that looked so nice and clean but couldn't have been. I knew that a person, with whatever mental challenges they are fighting, could not draw that person I saw in the painting. No, there was something else going on. Something unexplainable, but I'd get to the bottom of it. I would not have them take her away from me again by showing anyone that note. You might wonder if I am completely moronic, losing my mind and risking my life, but I hope that it will all make sense when I tell you how my time with the intruder continued. I went back home with random groceries I had bought. The note was a little more difficult. I didn't want to throw it away, but I didn't want her to find it again either, so I hid it in my car and proceeded to go inside, acting as if nothing was different, except that I had left the raincoat in there as well. The first thing I noticed when walking back inside was the painting. It certainly was a real eye-catcher, but that wasn't the reason for it. Something about it was different. I walked up close and realized what it was, though I still can't say for sure how I even noticed all the way back from the door. My eyesight isn't exactly perfect, but I knew that something was off, despite all the other things that were already weird about this painting. Now the creepy Nick suddenly had a nose. Still no mouth. Again, this wasn't some cartoonish nose, no, it looked eerily realistic. Something she shouldn't have been able to draw in the 30 minutes that I was gone. And the paint wasn't wet either. I threw the painting in my car where the raincoat and note were, making sure the key was hidden. To my surprise, however, Evelyn didn't mention that it was gone once. "Would you ever want to go back to that place?" I asked her during dinner. She hadn't said much since I came back, and I didn't either because I wasn't really sure what to say. "What place?" "You know. The one where you were before you came back." She shrugged. "It is awfully nice there, but it gets a bit boring, doesn't it? Only staring at the sky all day." I nodded. "I agree. How come you stayed there for so long then? Wasn't there a way to get out?" She looked at me as if she was thinking really carefully about what to say next. "There was. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here, right?" she hissed back. "It just took some time." "Right. Sorry," I said, feeling a little guilty for interrogating her. I wasn't a therapist or a detective, but I only had two options: find out for myself what happened or send her away, and the latter just didn't seem right to me. I needed her to be here with me. In no way did I actually believe that Evelyn was dangerous, even if she did scare the shit out of me from time to time since she was back. She wouldn't actually hurt me though. "Did you draw some more?" I changed the subject. Now the annoyance vanished from her eyes and she nodded excitedly. "Oh, I really do love drawing, Nick. You know, it's like being back at home without all the negative aspects." "Home? This is your home, Ev." Yeah. I mean the other home," she said as if it was the most obvious thing to say. "Fucking hell, you're not making things easy for me." "Nobody asked you to do anything, Nick. You don't need to be shitty about it. If you don't like the way I am, you can fucking leave." "Wow," was all I could say. Probably for the first time she was back, Evelyn sounded a little normal. She took a spoonful of soup and then proceeded having regulated processes for things I'm not used to. Helps me. "Okay? I'm not crazy." I nodded, feeling somewhat sympathetic but not completely. If it hadn't been for that damn note I would have been nicer, but I knew that this girl wasn't my girlfriend. At least not all of her. Hell yeah, you need to get used to things. Because you're probably not human, was what I really wanted to say but didn't. I'm gonna draw some more after dinner. Do you want to draw as well? You seem a little anxious, dear. I stayed quiet for a moment. There were no steps when it came to drawing, but I still wasn't sure if it was a good idea. No thanks, you go ahead. When Evelyn wasn't sure at first if she wanted to sleep in one bed with me, now I was the one who wanted some distance, but at the same time, I didn't want her to know. Some might wonder why I was even staying in a house with someone I found so unpredictable, but at the core of my heart, I knew this one wouldn't hurt me because somewhere inside was my own Evelyn. And my gut was pretty clear on staying here with her. You gotta listen to your gut, right? Anyway, I told her I was feeling a little unwell and would sleep on the sofa so I wouldn't accidentally infect her. She was fine with that. She actually didn't question it. All she asked was if I needed something. Do you want to join me for my bedtime routine though? She asked and I immediately declined. Feeling too weak for that. She understood, but the disappointment was drawn to her face. How about I just watch you instead? I think I have enough energy for that. Look, maybe I was reading too much into what I read on that note. Maybe she did write the things in an unclear state. Like when you were about to fall asleep and mumble nonsense. She was pretty exhausted from all the drawing. Maybe. Or maybe there was an intruder in her mind and the real Evelyn somehow tricked it. Of course, that sounds more than just a little insane, but even if it was all somehow made up by her mind, then one part of her seemed to believe it. And if it did, maybe I could break her out of this state by breaking her cycle. If I was there for the steps, I could manipulate them. Alrighty. Nighttime routine. Step 1. We light up 3 candles. Not 1, not 2 but 3. What she didn't know was that I had thrown away her box of matches earlier. Shoot, she mumbled. Fire, 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 oh. To my regret, she had extra matches. I should have known that she would be better prepared. Well, I did think about throwing away the candles, but that would have been very obvious and she probably had spare ones of those hidden away as well. After lighting up the 3 candles and placing them precisely 1 pencil length away from each other, she proceeded to continue with the next one. I moved one of them slightly closer when she was busy getting clothes out of her closet. Step 2. Put on the nightgown. Well, this isn't exactly a gown, but it will do, she joked. I smiled. Nick. Ev, I've seen you naked a billion times. She furrowed her brows and I turned around. All right, she said after changing. Step 3. Remove all of the makeup and brush the teeth. I need to go to the bathroom for that. Are you coming too? You're not wearing any makeup. She rolled her eyes. But it's a step. Can't you just brush your teeth? I asked. Sure, she said and disappeared into the bathroom. When she came back, her face was wet. I should have gone with her, but I couldn't exactly rip the toothbrush out of her hand. Step 4. Now that the teeth are brushed, the hair follows. I grabbed her hairbrush from the table. Can I asked, holding up the hairbrush. Evelyn thought about it for a moment. All right. But precisely 21 brushes. Of course, I lied and made sure to miscount a few times. It all didn't seem enough though. Little mistakes. There had to be something big. Step 5. Turn off the candles and go to bed, she said as she got ready to blow out the candles. Wait. I interrupted her. It's so early and I'm really not tired. Should we watch a movie? I thought you weren't feeling well, dear, she said and raised an eyebrow. Yeah, maybe some distraction will help. And I'd be able to sleep better. She gave me that look. The one that said sorry but not happening. Okay. I moved a step closer. Things had been so weird between us, she needed to know that she could still trust me. I expected her to take a step back, but she didn't. Instead, she came closer too and slung her arms around my waist. Maybe messing with her steps a little did help. She seemed more normal again. So I tried to go just a tiny bit further and moved my neck down a little. She was still not pulling away, so I gently touched the left side of her neck. Instead of moving back, she came closer. And then I missed her. Again, something we hadn't done in quite a while. She pulled back but smiled and suddenly I had a new idea. How about we draw a little? Together? That's when her eyes lit up. The bedtime routine was interrupted. I really need to go to bed. But all right. Just for a little bit. For a minute I really thought things were looking better. Things were feeling normal. Until I saw it. I went downstairs to grab some more empty canvases that I had left in the living room. Evelyn had used all the ones upstairs already. And there it was, hanging back in our living room. That goddamn painting. I immediately checked my pocket. The key for the car was still in there. I hadn't taken the pants off and Evelyn hadn't been close enough to take them until a few minutes ago. Except if she somehow tricked me, but even then I don't remember her leaving the house. She went right upstairs to draw and didn't come down the entire time. And I had the key during that time. I checked my pocket several times because I was already feeling paranoid as fuck. I grabbed the damn thing and ran back upstairs, to the office room where Evelyn was already preparing the paint. There is no way in hell that this could have just shown up in here again. I let the painting fall to the ground. "Did you somehow break into my car?" I shouted, expecting her to show some distressed reaction. I for one was trembling with anger and fear. She shook her head, completely numb. "I don't know how that happened." "Maybe you brought it here?" she asked. "I think I would remember if I fuck it." "Never mind." I grabbed the biggest brush I could find and slammed it into dark paint. Then I drew over the little figure that now looked exactly like me, except with eyes that would follow you into your nightmares. With hands that showed every vein I had and hair in the exact shade as mine. In a matter of seconds, he was nothing but a black stain, but I didn't stop there. I painted over the entire canvas. When that was done, I grabbed a pair of scissors and slammed them right in the middle of the canvas where I believed the image of me had been before I destroyed it. Evelyn stood still and watched me the entire time. At first I thought she looked sad or confused maybe, but then I realized the look on her face was one that I had gotten pretty good at myself. Concern. My heart was still racing and I was breathing rapidly. My arms were full of black paint, the scissors still tied in my hand. "Sweetie. You don't seem very fine," she finally said. She sounded nice. She sounded like herself. "No, I'm not fine. You left, Evelyn. You went to some horrible place and you're trying to tell me it was nice. If it really was so great, then why didn't you call? Why didn't you tell me to come pick you up? Why didn't you ask me to come with you?" I tried to control my voice but I couldn't. With every word I got louder and louder. Evelyn avoided my eyes. She looked down and I realized that she tried to hide her face because of the tears that were now rolling down her cheek. This was the first time she cried since she was back. I almost expected her to somehow apologize. To tell me that she left because she wanted to leave me, but then she said the last thing I was expecting. "Nick, do you want me to show you where I was?"